A third of New Yorkers plan to leave New York State within the next 5 years, mainly because of the cost of living. We're going to New Jersey, where there's been a development boom targeting people leaving New York City or looking to move to the area. You live in New Jersey, but work in New York City.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to live here?
Mainly the New York City taxes.
I think the groceries and the rent is just impossible to afford something in New York right now.
I told you guys this was coming. As soon as Zohran Mamdani was elected, we predicted that there would be a mass exodus in New York City. Now, of course, the mainstream media, they instantly came to the defense of their beloved hero. They attempted to cover the stench on this turd with a double coat of high-quality polish. No one is leaving New York City. This dump is amazing. Name another city where you can take a nice walk down Fifth Avenue and get free lunch by digging through piles of garbage. Credit where credit is due. Zohran Mamdani has already managed to fulfill one of his many campaign promises. He promised New Yorkers free meals, and they have damn sure gotten it. If you're hungry in New York City, all you gotta do is take a nice stroll, and there are plenty of delicacies available in nicely sealed trash bags right there on the street. According to a recent study from Marist University, 33% of New Yorkers are planning to leave in the next 5 years. Now, CBS chose to focus on the 40% that are leaving due to the exorbitant cost of living. But there's another factor that I think directly ties into that number. 21% of New Yorkers, they are planning to leave because their quality of life is rapidly declining, which means 61% are escaping this dump because their life has suddenly become miserable. New York City represents almost half of the overall population of New York State. Let's assume that half of the 33% of New Yorkers that are planning to leave, let's assume that half are living in New York City. In the interest of fairness, we'll give Zohran Mamdani a little bit of a break here and say that only half of that number will actually leave New York in the next 5 years. That would be a population decline of over 800,000 people, and the vast majority are leaving because Zohran Mamdani has made their lives absolutely miserable. You know, I used to dream of living in New York City, but as I have gotten older and developed a severe allergen to doofus Democrats, I've realized that living in New York City would be a nightmare. There's no space, there are crowds and lines everywhere you go. Instead of my Yorkies fertilizing my backyard with their doodle, they would be providing freshly baked turds to the rats on the sidewalk. Traffic is horrendous, which means you gotta risk your life on the subway or travel around the city using the method of transportation preferred by Joy Reid, which is a broom. At 41 years old, I don't want to deal with all that shit. I enjoy the silence of the suburbs, but for some people, especially when you're younger, you're willing to tolerate the negatives because there are so many opportunities available in New York City. You're willing to pay $7,000, $8,000 a month in rent to live in a storage closet. You're willing to tolerate all those negatives because of the amenities the city has to offer. It's always been expensive to live in New York City. That is nothing new. So, why are hundreds of thousands, maybe even over 1 million people planning to leave? Why are New Yorkers suddenly complaining about their quality of life? Maybe, just maybe, native New Yorkers are trying to escape because Zohran Mamdani has made it incredibly uncomfortable for Americans to live in America's largest city. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel is in the description below. Today on the second channel, going to be talking about LeBron James pleading for sympathy and attention again. LeBron is being accused of faking an injury because that's exactly what he was doing. He fell to the floor the other night and LeBron pretended like his arm was broken. Problem was, he forgot which arm was broken, and the entire illusion was caught on film. At this stage of his career, LeBron James has not only worn out his welcome in Los Angeles, I think the entire NBA is more than ready for LeBron James to retire. So if you haven't already, click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. You know, it is no secret at this point that Zohran Mamdani is anti-American. Earlier this week, it was discovered that his wife had liked multiple Instagram posts that celebrated Islamic terrorists for attacking Israel on October 7th. Now, of course, the attackers, they're not celebrating now. Most of them are dead, and their beloved Iranian leader, he was recently surprised with a proper introduction to Lucifer instead of the expected 72 virgins. Rama Mamdani describes herself as a Syrian-American artist, which is just a fancy way of saying that she is unemployed, just like her doofus husband. But I thought it was interesting that Rama Mamdani described herself as Syrian-American, because the first doofus of New York City, she was born in Houston, Texas. To me, this further proves with the Mamdanis that America is always last. When he was campaigning to destroy New York City, when he was campaigning to turn New York City into an Islamic dump, Zohran Mamdani promised to improve the quality of life of all New Yorkers. I will be an inclusive mayor. Everyone is welcome in New York City, except, of course, Americans. So how has Zorro improved quality of life? How has this magnificent magician improved the lives of native New Yorkers? Well, his first trick was inviting the entire city to a block party where restrooms were not provided. Now, of course, restrooms weren't really required, since free food and free water was not provided either. For his next trick, the magnificent Mandani protected the city from the imminent threat of climate change by eliminating the need for high-powered alarm clocks. New Yorkers, they no longer need an alarm to wake up in the morning. Thanks to Captain Doofus, the entire city is abruptly woken up every morning at 5 a.m. with the Islamic call to prayer. Instead of waking up to the fresh smell of the neighborhood bakery or the bodega, New Yorkers walk outside every morning to the smell of stale garbage. In some extreme cases, they are forced to play hopscotch on the way to work as they avoid the piles of freshly baked doodle on the sidewalk. My inside sources, they are telling me that New Yorkers are now having to bring multiple pairs of shoes to work, which is a real problem because there's not enough space in their closet-sized apartment to store multiple pairs of shoes. But one of the main reasons for the decline in quality of life in New York City, the constant protests, the never-ending unrest, the relentless displays of anti-American garbage. Last night, there was a memorial held a couple of blocks away from the original site of the Twin Towers. When I was growing up, 2 skyscrapers were occupying this plot of land, but thanks to radical Islamists, it's now a constant reminder that radical Islam does not mix with American values. I put together a compilation of what life is now like in the Islamic Republic of New York. In one of these clips, a business owner, he is at work, He's going to use his own restroom, and he's not allowed to use his own bathroom because a Muslim cop has turned the Pooper Palace into a mosque. The other clips are so-called New Yorkers celebrating the life of Ayatollah Khomeini, the radical Islamist who is accused of killing thousands of Americans, the regime that was behind the assassination attempt of Donald Trump, the Iranian regime that literally hated America, and so-called New Yorkers, they are honoring that guy. You tell me if you would be willing to live in this dump. You tell me if you'd be willing to pay $7,000 a month to deal with this. Watch it for yourself.
I'm trying to go to the bathroom and look. Nigga got 12 in here praying. Bro, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? 12 is in there praying right now, bro. Bro. What are you doing? I'm just coming to pray, bro. Go pray in the car or the precinct. This ain't no fucking mosque.
You enjoy
We mourn Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
We mourn Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
We mourn IRGC General Qasem Soleimani. And we mourn President Ibrahim Raisi as Iranian leaders who represented resistance to Zionism, resistance to colonial domination. We stand with the Islamic Republic of Iran. We stand with the Iranian people, defending their sovereignty and their revolution.
If you stand with the Islamic Republic of Iran, then what the hell are you doing over here? If you stand with Iran, if you want to defend the people of Iran, who, by the way, have spent the past week celebrating the demise of this tyrannical regime, if you want to defend the people of Iran, then why are you defending them all the way in New York City? Why don't you get your ass on a plane and put your stilettos on the ground in Tehran? If you want to live in an Islamic dump, why don't you live over there? Or one of the other 55, 56, 57 other countries where Islam is the dominant religion. This is not a coincidence. It is not a coincidence that Islamists have been emboldened in New York City. This is exactly what Zohran Mamdani wants. And look, it is not a good thing that millions of people, Americans, are potentially leaving New York City. I understand why they're leaving. If I was in their situation, I'd be getting the hell out of there too. I don't want to walk outside and see a collection of dorks praising terrorists. But the problem with Americans leaving New York City, we can't keep running away from this problem. That's the main reason I support what the Trumper is doing over in Iran. I don't want another long war in the Middle East, but something had to be done. Because for decades, we have been ignoring the very real problem of Islamists. We can't keep losing American cities. This is what Islamists do. They come into a city, they plant a mosque, they make life miserable for everyone else living there. Those miserable people leave, and the Islamists have the entire neighborhood to themselves. But that neighborhood, it becomes a zip code. That zip code becomes a city. The city becomes a state. Next thing you know, Islamists have taken over the entire country. It has happened dozens and dozens of times in countries throughout the world, and it's happening right now in New York City. This is just the beginning. New York is going to be radicalized. New York is going to fall into the hands of Islamists unless New Yorkers put a stop to it. Problem is, seems like a lot of New Yorkers are choosing to run away. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.